All right, so you ready to dive into this one? 2 travel articles about Belgrade, Serbia. Let me tell you, this city sounds absolutely incredible.
Yeah, Belgrade is something special. Not your typical European capital.
Definitely not from what I'm seeing. One of these articles mentioned it dates back to the 3rd century BC. Like, are you serious?
Yeah, the Celts. They found this place, and they knew a good spot when they saw one. Right at the confluence of the Danube and the Sava rivers.
Okay, and just to be clear, for those of us who maybe slept through that geography lesson, the Danube, that's kind of a big deal, right?
Oh, yeah. Second longest river in all of Europe. Flows through 10 countries. So strategically, prime real estate.
Makes sense why everyone wanted a piece of Belgrade then.
Exactly. And they did. Romans took over and, well, they weren't exactly known for their hands-off approach to city planning, right?
Not really. You can still see their mark in a lot of places, I bet.
Oh, absolutely. Belgrade Fortress, over 2,000 years old. Talk about standing the test of time.
Wow. 2,000 years. So after the Romans, who gets to take their turn?
Well, you had the Byzantines for a bit, then a pretty significant chunk of time under the Ottomans. Left quite a mark on the culture, too.
Oh, I bet. The food, the architecture, you can't help but absorb influences like that.
Exactly. You could still feel those Ottoman vibes today. The coffee, the baklava, some stunning mosques. It's all part of the city's tapestry.
I love that. That's what I love about travel, those layers of history. But at some point, Belgrade had to become, well, Belgrade, right? When did that happen?
Right. So we're talking the 19th century here. This is when Serbian national identity starts to make some serious noise.
Okay, and I'm guessing those 2 rivers we talked about, the Danube and the Sava, they play a part in this, right?
Big time. They weren't just trade routes, they were borders. Natural dividing lines between the Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires. And smack dab in the middle.
Belgrade.
You got it.
Got it.
Caught in the middle. But you know what they say? What grows between a rock and a hard place? A really strong sense of self.
That's a good way to put it. So that's how Belgrade became the capital of an independent Serbia.
Yep, but buckle up, because the story doesn't stop there.
Wow, so they finally get their independence after centuries. You'd think they'd get a break, right?
You'd think so. But history has other plans. 20th century rolls around, and Belgrade finds itself right in the thick of it again, this time with the formation of Yugoslavia.
Yugoslavia. Okay, so for those of us who, again, might have skimmed that chapter in history class, what's the deal with Yugoslavia?
Right, so imagine this. You're taking all these different Southern Slavic people with their own histories, their own cultures, and you're trying to bring them together under one flag.
That's ambitious, to say the least.
Oh, absolutely. It was this grand experiment, and Belgrade was the capital. A city already bursting with layers of history now becomes the heart of this new nation. The energy, the hope, but also the challenges. It must have been something else.
I bet. But it didn't last, did it? Yugoslavia, I mean, I know it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately not. It had its own set of internal struggles. And then, of course, World War II hit.
Which, for Belgrade, meant
More turmoil, more conflict, bombings, occupation. This city just can't seem to catch a break. But even in the face of all that, there's this incredible resilience, this spirit that just won't quit.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. So after the war, after Yugoslavia eventually collapses, where does that leave Belgrade?
Picking up the pieces, as always. The 90s were a tough time, no doubt. But Belgrade, it finds a way. And today it's this vibrant, modern city embracing its past while looking towards the future.
I love that. So what's it like now? When you walk the streets, what's the vibe?
It's electric. You've got these bustling cafes, art everywhere, this youthful energy that's contagious. It's a city that knows how to have a good time.
Speaking of a good time, we got to talk about the football scene. These articles made it very clear. Belgrade takes its football seriously.
No, it's not just football, it's religion. Pure passion.
All right, break it down for us. Red Star Belgrade versus Partizan Belgrade is the big rivalry.
The biggest. Red Star with their iconic stadium Americana.
Yeah.
Talk about legendary. They're like the team, the ones to beat.
Grand Partizan.
The underdogs, the scrappy ones, and their fans. Just as passionate, just as loud. When these two teams clash, the whole city is on edge.
It's more than just a game, isn't it?
Way more. It's about belonging, about pride, about history. When you're in that stadium, surrounded by the roar of the crowd, it's electric. You can feel the energy, the passion. It's incredible.
Okay, I'm adding see a Belgrade football match to my bucket list right now. That sounds amazing. But let's switch gears a bit. We've talked about the history, the passion. What about everyday life? Give us the lowdown on what it's like to actually live in Belgrade.
Well, first of all, be prepared for a crowd. Belgrade is a big city. Over 1.6 million people, all crammed into this incredible mix of old and new.
So not exactly a sleepy little village then.
No, definitely not. You've got your cobblestone streets, your charming cafes, the smell of Turkish coffee in the air, but then right around the corner, bam. Cutting-edge art gallery, a rooftop bar with killer views, a live music scene that'll blow your mind. It's a city that never sleeps.
Okay, I'm starting to get serious FOMO over here. So let's say I'm sold. I'm booking a ticket to Belgrade tomorrow. What do I need to know? So let's say I'm sold. I'm booking a ticket to Belgrade tomorrow. What do we need to know?
All right. First things first, you're going to want to know where you're landing, right? Belgrade Nikola Tesla Airport. Beg, if you're looking at your ticket.
Okay, got it. Beg, check. And once I'm on the ground, how do I get from the airport to, my amazing Belgrade hotel?
Well, you've got options. Budget-minded. The A1 bus line will get you right to the city center. No problem.
Easy enough.
Now, if you're feeling fancy or just impatient, there's always taxis. Just a heads up. Make sure you're getting in an official one. Avoid those inflated fares.
Noted. Although, honestly, I kind of like figuring out the local transportation, get a feel for the city.
I hear you. And you know what? Belgrade, they've got this tram system. It's fantastic. A little old school, but so charming.
Okay, I'm in. Trams it is. Speaking of charming, we got to talk about the food. What's the culinary scene like in Belgrade?
Get ready for a treat. Remember all that Ottoman influence we were talking about?
Yeah.
Well, it's alive and well in the food scene. Cevapi, you got to try those. Grilled minced meat, flatbread, onions. So good.
I'm writing this down. Cevapi. What else?
Oh, and burek. Flaky pastry filled with cheese or meat, sometimes spinach. It's like comfort food, but better.
Okay, my stomach is officially rumbling. What about drinks? What am I ordering when I'm in Belgrade?
When in Belgrade, right? You got to try the rakia.
Rakia, that rings a bell.
Fruit brandy. Strong stuff.
Duly noted. Maybe not first thing in the morning then.
Probably a good call. If you want something a little more approachable, Serbian wine is having a moment.
Really? I've never actually had Serbian wine.
It's good. Kind of a hidden gem. So add that to the list too.
That's done and done. For me, the best travel experiences are always those little surprises, the things you don't find in the guidebooks. Any hidden gems in Belgrade you can let us in on?
Honestly, the biggest surprise for me was the people.
Oh.
Belgrade has this tough exterior. Right. Centuries of history will do that to a city. But underneath it all, the people are so warm, so welcoming.
I love that. So much of travel is about connecting with people.
It really is. And in Belgrade, you feel it. They're proud of their city. They want to share it with you. Makes you feel like you've stumbled onto something special.
I can see why you're so drawn to it. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. Ancient history, modern day marvels, the football scene, even some culinary tips. Hopefully our listeners are feeling inspired to learn more.
Belgrade is one of those cities that rewards curiosity. Every corner you turn, there's something new to discover.
Absolutely. All right, so as we wrap up this deep dive on Belgrade, we'll leave you with this. If you're looking for a travel experience that's a little off the beaten path, a city that's full of surprises, steeped in history, and bursting with life, Belgrade needs to be on your list. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.